Hey guys, gals, and others. It's the Cannabis Crone. I just wanted to touch base with my 55th birthday podcast. It's the first time I've ever been 55. So this is what 55 looks like for me and feels like for me. And yeah. So the first thing, I wrote down a couple things that I was going to talk about, and the first thing was faith. Now that's a very interesting subject for me because I grew up kind of a wild card. My parents left the church. I was born and christened Catholic. Then my parents left the church because of some scandals and hypocrisy that was going on in their church. Actually, I don't know, if I tell the story, it's going to make the podcast too long. Well, anyway, it had to do with child molestation. And when the church tried to do their cover-up, they basically told my father he needed to fall in line because it was church, God, and then family. Like, that was... And my dad was like, no. My father was always a man of conscience. So he said, no, I'm not doing this. So anyway, they left the church. I think my Aunt Terry always thought I was the Antichrist because they left it after I was born, right after I was born, or right before I was born, something like that. So, anyway, so I grew up basically told to find my own way. We didn't really talk about religion in our household. It wasn't a part of our daily lives. It wasn't a part of our conversation. Faith wasn't really something that we talked about. The only time I ever went to church was when we went to my grandparents because they all still did the church thing, my aunts and my grandparents. So, but when I got old enough to start asking questions, my father gave me a reading list. So the Gnostic Gospels were part of it, books on Buddhism, the Quaker faith, just all of these different types of spirituality that he had found as interesting in his journey, because his journey was always to study the world's religions. And my dad read Latin pretty fluently. So, and when he was in the seminary, he got to view some of these texts, read them like from the actual, written in the actual Latin, which is kind of cool. Yeah, my dad was a cool guy. So faith, for me, at 55, I realized that I believe in everything and nothing at all. That sums up how I feel. I thought I was an atheist, but now I'm starting to question if I'm a faithful atheist. Because I feel the sentient energy coming from the earth. I feel it coming off of the trees. I feel it among the bees when they're hanging out here in the springtime, and it's so loud you can hardly hear yourself because all you can hear is that buzz, and it's just so calming. And there's an energy, there is a connection. I don't believe in God in the Sky Santa sense. You guys know what I mean about that. Like he's up there, he's got a list and he's checking it twice, and it's like, no, I don't believe that. That's too convenient, first of all. And it takes accountability right off your shoulders, because you can say God made me do it, or the devil made me do it, or one or the other. And yeah, That's part of the reason that religion has such a big draw, I think, is because a lot of accountability and a lot of decision making is taken away from you, but you're given this sense of, this is how it is, and you never have to wonder. And I think it's in that wondering and those moments of doubt that the most growth happens. So you're kind of left with, when you empty yourself of all of the dogma and all of the rules and regulations, you're kind of left with just a gut instinct as to what you believe, what rings true for you. And it's a little bit different for everyone, because I think experiential learning is really the key that shapes us. It's the things that happen to us that make us who we are, not what we necessarily learn in the classroom or the church. So my miracles are different than your miracles, and so it goes around. My experiences are different than your experiences. My spiritual needs are a little bit different than your spiritual needs. And that should be okay. That's one of the greatest gifts I think that my parents gave to me, was their indifference towards religion. My mother's indifference towards religion and my father's fascination with learning everybody else's religion really, really helped me get to where I am now. Absolutely confused. No faith in anything concrete. And I believe in nothing and everything at all. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Mom. But, again, it simply means that I'm not locked into any one belief system. I have core values. And that maybe is my spiritualism. I'm a cannabis spiritualist, obviously. But my core beliefs are about life being sacred. Every life, including that mosquito that was just flying around me. It doesn't mean I'm not going to smash it if it's biting me and if a bunch of mosquitoes are around me. But I'm not going to go out of my way to step on a bug or kill a spider or do anything like that, because I have compassion, and that compassion is my core value. It extends to everything. I've talked on previous podcasts about being a merciful God, because we always destroy. I've had to destroy nature in order to create, this little paradise. I've had, I mow my trails. I don't mow a lot of the lawn, but I mow trails and I mow around the house and stuff. And, I know that I'm destroying countless lives when I'm doing that. And, don't laugh. It's true. It's really true. So I know that I'm doing that, but I try to mitigate it, and I try to not, I'll always be conscious of it now. Conscious that everything wants to live, conscious of that merciless compassion that nature has towards all creatures. We all come from the same place, and we all go back to the same place. It doesn't matter where you are on earth. When you die, you're in the earth. No matter how you look at it. If you're cremated, if you're buried in a steel vault, the steel vault is still in the earth. You're still, you will always go back to your mother. And so those are my core values, and I guess that is my spirituality. That's pretty much, I don't have any set rules except to protect those core values, which means that my rules are no arbitrary killings. I'm going to go out of my way. If there's a spider in my house, I will put it in a cup and remove it from my house and find it a nice little spot and let it go. Because I'm incapable of every act upon nature that is negative that I do, I obsess about it. And maybe that's part of my neurodivergence too. But so, yeah, I'm always conscious of it. And I think that if more people were like that, well, first of all, we wouldn't have people throwing trash out their windows still in this day and age. What the fuck is up with that? Who in their goddamn right mind? You know, some people's kids need to be smacked upside the head when they're driving down the road, throwing their trash out the window. Like, who does that? Who does that? I can't fathom. Sometimes I really wish it could be legal to just, yeah, but it's not. I'm sure you know where I was going with that, my violent tendencies. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of faith at 55. I know nothing. I am sure of nothing. I am open to everything. And I believe some things. So that's basically it in a nutshell. 55. Wow. Oh, also I deactivated my Facebook account. Too much mass hypnosis going on. I can't handle it. I had to get off. Yeah. So probably maybe 2 people might view this podcast. Oh, and just a quick update on the dude. For those of you who don't know, our dog contracted blastomycosis in August. Well, probably a little sooner than that, probably sometime in July because of the incubation period. Blastomycosis is a fungus that's found in the soil, especially around Bemidji State Park and the headwaters, the Mississippi headwaters, Itasca Park, and up and down the Mississippi. In fact, they were saying at the vet's office, I believe there's been 20 cases in the past year. That's a lot of cases of blastomycosis, and humans can get it too if they inhale the spore. So, I mean, it's crazy, and it's antibiotic resistant. So that makes it really hard to get rid of, and it starts a cascade effect with organ failure. Dude was literally, his skin was bursting in places. These sores were just opening up for no reason at all. It was like scurvy. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. It was horrifying. And we managed to get that under the control with the ketoconazole that Dr. Busby prescribed. He is also on cannabis therapy, some heavy tincture dosing, and also citrus. Lots of citrus, orange juice and grapefruit juice, because those are antifungal foods. You know, you have to come at this thing from all sides. There's your pharmacological, which has its place, and then there's the holistic, which also has its place, to try and undo, like the cannabis therapy is to undo some of the damage from the ketoconazole that it does on the liver and kidneys. So anyway, he was doing great. His appetite came back. The cannabis tincture I was using for his cuts has healed up all but 2, which is wonderful. The 2 are still draining, and we're still working on those. The other one scabbed over, and antibiotic ointment, antifungal ointment, none of that worked. We had to dry it out. So if you know somebody who has a pup who has blasto, and they have sores, those sores will only go away if you dry them out, kind of like you do with poison ivy. So, you know, just an FYI, because it was awful for a while there. So anyway, dude was doing better, but then he developed a cough 2 days ago. And that really worried me, because that is another phase of more severe blastomycosis, some of the more severe symptoms. So right away, now my vet, Dr. Busby, is only open twice a week. He's like semi-retired, so I had to take him to Northern Vet Clinic up here, the Northern Veterinary Clinic. I didn't even know it was here. It's right down the street from me. I didn't even know it was here. So, and a very, very good place. I highly recommend it. But they said that he was plateauing with the ketoconazole, and so they wanted to try itraconazole, so they put him on that, and then some low dose of prednisone to get the swelling down in his chest so he could breathe easier. And there's a marked improvement today, so thank goodness. But this is a process. I mean, this can last up to 6 months to a year. It's insane, and it's very, very expensive. I had money put aside for fuel for the winter. You know, I'm saving from each paycheck because they're real small paychecks, and that's the money that I had to use to take him to the vet this last time. You know, but what better way to spend it than on your baby boy? He is our baby boy, and so we're going to do whatever it takes. So he's back to being his old self and just being a shit. It's just so... You should have seen him yesterday, or not yesterday, this morning. Gosh. This morning, he felt so good. He came out the door, and there was a rabbit by our garden, and he took off after the rabbit, full blown. He looked like the Flying Nun because he has the collar. He's got that collar on continuously, otherwise he'll be at his wounds, ripping them open again. So he's running full board, and I thought he was gonna like lift off the ground because the collar looked like it was wings. It was crazy. Oh my God, yeah, he's a shit when he's feeling good. So here's to him feeling like a shit real, consistently. Because sometimes, and especially with blastomycosis, it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, 5 steps back, 1 step forward. It can be, it's hard. I have a friend who they won't have dogs on their property any longer because 3 of their dogs contracted blastomycosis. So it was somewhere in their soil, and they live right on the river. So, and people in that same area had dogs that got blastomycosis. So it's very insidious. If you live in, it's all over the United States, but it's real prevalent here. It's prevalent in Canada and Wisconsin for some reason. Soil types, maybe, I don't know. But if you live, anywhere in northern Minnesota and you take your dog hiking to Bemidji State Park, be careful. I would stay on the trails and don't let them nose around in the swampy areas. Don't let them be digging, because that's how they get it. They inhale the spores first, and then they settle in the gut, and it's a whole process of breaking the immune system down once they get inside. So, and I think Bemidji State Park should probably have a warning somewhere, on some of the trails so that people know. I wouldn't have let him, be nosing around and dig in on the bog walk and stuff like that. If I'd known, I just didn't. I had no idea there was a silent killer in our soil. And we have hiked in so many dark, moist, beautiful places where it likes to live. So I feel guilty. Gosh, I thought we were doing something good, getting him out all the time. You don't realize that, you're exposing him to something so horrible. So anyway, so today was a good day. Dude's feeling good again. His medication's been adjusted. He's still getting his cannabis. He's still getting a little bit of edible at night just to keep him, because he does need to rest. That's the other thing. When you have boisterous dogs, they don't want to rest as much, but this is very important because his body's fighting it, every second of every day. So, well, I guess that's it. My thoughts on faith, being 55, and my circle has grown so small of people that I can be around anymore. And but there's some pretty amazing people. So I feel really blessed that even though my circle is very, very small, it's very, very strong. And I hope that no matter how big or small your circle is, I hope that it is very, very strong. Have a beautiful rest of your late afternoon. Namaste.